Olaf Scholz has been officially sworn in as Germany's new chancellor, taking over from Angela Merkel following her 16 years in the top job. Merkel handed the reins over to her successor in a ceremony at the Chancellery in Berlin. Scholz, in return, promised to do all he could to work towards a new start for Germany, as Thomas Blade now reports.
He has been likened to a robot and has come under fire for the handling of 2 scandals as finance minister. But now the 63-year-old Hamburg native Olaf Scholz has ascended the German political ladder to be sworn in as the country's new chancellor. Germany is entering new territory. Not only is it changing leaders after Angela Merkel's 16-year term, it is also seeing a coalition of Social Democrats, the Greens and the Liberals. A first for the Bundestag. Cabinet members of this so-called traffic light coalition were present to receive their letter of mission from the German president, giving the government the official green light. Now Scholz must run the EU's most populous country, while keeping all 3 parties happy.
I'm very grateful for what we have done so far. I look forward to the new task. I look forward to all the work here. It will be a new beginning for our country. In any case, I will do everything to work towards that.
In her parting speech, the now former Chancellor Angela Merkel offered her successor some sound words of advice.
Perhaps you can guess that it's an exciting, fulfilling task, also a demanding task, but if you approach it with joy, then it's perhaps also one of the most beautiful tasks there is, to bear responsibility for this country. I sincerely wish you all the best in this work and always a happy hand for our country. These wishes also extend to the entire team.
Merkel left the Chancellery building on Wednesday, ending a 31-year political career. She will still retain an office close to the Bundestag, but she can only watch on as Germany enters a new era. Thomas Blade, Euronews.
Kate Brady in Berlin says a new uptick in coronavirus cases and deaths could push the new government to impose tighter rules for the unvaccinated.
This is the 4th wave, certainly is hitting Germany harder than any other wave during the pandemic so far. And it certainly is going to be overshadowing the first month, if not the first year or so of this new government's time in office. Now, of course, as you mentioned, the talk now is whether or not there is going to be a vaccine mandate. And that proposal was put to Parliament this week. And the new government is hoping to see that passed actually by the end of the week. And what we'd see, if that was indeed passed by Parliament and then the upper house as well, would be actually a partial vaccine mandate, at least initially. That could come into force as early as mid-March. That would initially be for healthcare workers. And then the likely expectation is that would be then extended to the entire population as in an attempt to try and get the vaccination rates up. They have stagnated for several weeks now. They've ticked up ever so slightly in the last couple of weeks to about 69% of the population now being fully vaccinated. But of course, in the meantime, as you mentioned, the number of cases still going up, still around 60 to 70,000 per day later in the week. And Germany also saw the highest number of daily deaths caused by COVID-19 since February yesterday. So of course, those are very concerning numbers and certainly something that the government is going to be dealing with tighter measures even still haven't been ruled out. And around the country today as well, the latest measures that really do start to restrict public life, especially for the unvaccinated, are coming into force in Germany's various 16 states.
Now, abroad, Scholz's first trip is going to be to Paris and Brussels. It comes at a time with heightened tension with Russia over Ukraine. What can we expect from the new government on the foreign policy front?
I think Scholz made it very clear just after the coalition deal was signed yesterday. He was probed on a few foreign policy questions and he said Germany's foreign policy is one of continuity. So we're not expecting to see any massive changes. It's very clear even from the visit that you just mentioned. Scholz will be heading to Paris on Friday, somewhat of a tradition now when the Chancellor is re-elected or newly elected. The first foreign trip always tends to be to Paris, and then he'll follow that with a visit to Brussels in the afternoon where he'll meet with with both the EU Commission President Ursula von der Leyen and also the chief of NATO, Jens Stoltenberg, to underline really Germany's commitment both to the EU, strengthening the EU on the global stage. That's one of the new coalition government's real key aims, and also Germany's responsibility that it feels towards NATO as well. So, of course, after below the commitment to the EU, the coalition deal makes it very clear that transatlantic ties are very high up the agenda when it comes to German foreign policy. But interestingly, we are expecting to see some harsher stances, particularly when it comes towards Russia that you just mentioned, but also China as well. In the past, critics have often said that Germany has put its industrial and economic interests above those of human rights. But incoming on now, Foreign Minister Annalena Baerbock has certainly not minced her words previously when it comes to the possibility of Germany certainly taking a harder stance towards China in the future. The topic came up yesterday, of course, after US President Joe Biden announced that the US would be staging a diplomatic boycott of the Winter Olympics in Beijing. It's not yet clear whether or not Germany would follow suit, with Olaf Scholz, the new German chancellor, certainly avoiding that question yesterday. So definitely plenty for the new government to be getting on with, both here in Germany and further afield.